Oakley dokley. Let's do our little checks here. Make sure everything is working as it should. Looking good, looking good. Beautiful. Beautiful. Cool. All right, I think we are now live everywhere. We'll wait to get ourselves some bags going until we get some folks joining us so we can, of course, give them away. We'll just hang out for a moment. Well, Stephanie, welcome. Afternoon to you, Steph. How are you doing today? First chatter of the day, first bag of the day. Thanks for joining us. As always, glad to see you. All righty. Oh, I missed Gem Jewelry, aka King Yeti, who was actually, I think, the first chatter to hit. I'm not sure why it didn't pop up. I'm sorry about that, Gem Jewelry / King Yeti. Next one will be for you. We'll get to it nice and quick. Izzy Bell says, yo, it's been a while. Hope you are doing well. I'm doing great, Izzy Bell. Thanks for hanging out with us again. I hope you are doing great as well. And remind me, Izzy, I'm so sorry if you have hung out with us before. Where are you where are you from? Whereabouts are you from? And again, thanks for hanging out with us this afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are in the world. Appreciate you being here. You're right, Stephanie. King Yeti was first. I don't know how I missed it, but we will get the next one for him. I guess they could have just reversed him. But it feels, once it's been officially declared for somebody, it'd be so wrong to take it back. Welcome, BVD. Good to see you again. How's the astronomy studying going? I don't remember if you had like a big exam coming up anytime soon, but if so, certainly good luck. I guess this could be like the end of a summer semester. I was one of those weird kids who liked finals. I was one of those weird kids who also liked taking tests. So, but either way, I hope the studying is nice and productive, and glad that you're here, taking some time out, hanging out with us. Izzy says, I haven't joined in a while, but he's from Phoenix, or she. Love your vids and vibes. Well, thanks, Izzy. I appreciate those kind words, and stay cool out there in Phoenix. I haven't heard recently what the temperature is there, but seeing as how everybody else is experiencing Phoenix-like temperatures recently, I can only assume that means it's even worse in Phoenix than normal, but maybe not. Either way, we have a lot of cool fans out in Phoenix. City I have not been to since I have been an adult human. I was there as a teenager, though. A lot of sprawl. But otherwise, a really interesting, fascinating, way bigger city than people think it is, Phoenix. My dog is whining as she likes to do. BBD says they've been doing amazing, and thanks for asking about the astronomy. they need some brain food for the exam coming this week. And the thanks for the kind words. Well, of course, no problem. Good luck to you in the exam, final or midterm, whatever it may be. If those terms are still even used to describe, um, surely college grade exam. Okay, well, that's bag number one done. Thank you, Stephanie. Bag number two for our actual first commenter, King Yeti slash Gem Jewelry. Thanks for hanging out with us, King Yeti. It must be such a fun time to be BBD, to be in an astronomy class, because after a relative period of I don't know if you would say lack of blockbuster results, maybe in the fields of astronomy and cosmology. The last 5 years or so has been such an utterly fecund and explosive period of growth for astronomy. You have new types of telescopes, new types of imaging things. We're still, beginning to grapple with LIGO. And then, of course, I assume if your teacher is worth any, is any good, they're showing plenty of new images from the James Webb Telescope to get the kids all excited. Either way, it's got to be a fun time to be, I would think and hope, to be in an astronomy class. I remember being in my freshman year of college, I took a geography class, not a geology class, and not geography as in like we're going to learn states' capitals, but literally more, I guess it's more earth sciences, really, but it was under the umbrella of geography. And like the first week of class is when Katrina broke out, and so our whole first month of class was a bunch of like grad students teaching hundreds of college freshmen in a big giant lecture hall, and being a little almost inappropriately giddy about what was happening in the news because it was reflecting so much of what we were learning in class, and talking about how the Mississippi Delta, is prone to kind of these is on this ancient floodplain, and the city actually sits below sea level, and so blah 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 blah. And I don't think they meant it in bad taste, but they were just very excited to share their science, and there were a lot of people having to learn it, whether they were in a class or not, because of I don't need to relitigate what happened in Hurricane Katrina, but I imagine being in an astronomy class is somewhat in like being in a geography class when Katrina was unleashed, except less morbid and more hopeful. Trina, George W. Bush doesn't care about black people. Remember that when that was both an accusation that was shocking that somebody would both make it on national television, and then also a thing that could also be so forcefully rebutted, because it would be such an affront for it to be true, whereas now for some people it may be a badge of honor. But yeah, Kanye West, man, for many people's many people, his step out into superstardom wasn't about those gold diggers. It was about revealing on national television in front of good old Mike Myers. What a fever dream that whole time was. So we've had so many fever dreams in our adult life, but that one in particular, fucking Shrek on stage with Kanye and Kanye dropping George W. Bush doesn't care about black people. And then that was news for weeks. Quaint, in retrospect. Very quaint. How do we get on Katrina and Kanye? Oh, astronomy. That's how. Good luck on the exam. Sincerely. King Yeti, this bag is for you. Ryan, welcome, Ryan. Good to see you. Welcome back. Lost says, I'm being accustomed to these streams. Well, Lost, thank you so much for joining us. And it's such a pleasure to see you every time, Lost, because I get to just a little, there's a neuron firing in my brain each time I see your avatar pop up with just maybe a little bit of hope or some warm feelings for the show, or I can't quite describe it, but there's some circuitry in my brain that when I see Lost in that wonderful Lost logo, some pleasure neurons fire. I'm sorry if that sounds dirty. I don't mean it that way. Mostly nostalgic. But welcome. Glad you're here. And I hope you continue to get accustomed to them. BBD says, oh yes, the images from the telescope recently. I think it's just a phenomenal topic. Agree. And I agree, it's a good time to be alive. Yes, it is. Objectively so. If your objective is if your metrics for a good life are one lived long and without many health complications, then yes, it's an excellent time to be alive. Not so great, bizarrely, however, to be an American male, especially middle-aged male right now, if those are your metrics, because we are dying younger and younger. That trend doesn't seem to be reversing. And it's kind of baffling. And it's not all, as I would have guessed at one point, it's not all due to deaths of despair, aka your deaths due to addiction or suicide or anything along those lines that are vaguely self-inflicted. Not all of the male in the United States downward life spiral can be attributed to that. A lot of it can. There's more going on. Don't know when we're talking about this. Let's move on. Lost asks, do you believe the consumption of marijuana can become an addiction eventually? Lost, great question. I promise I won't go over it too long. I answer it. We go over it pretty frequently because it comes up, as you might imagine, all the time. And unequivocally, 100% yes. There's supposed to be more build up to it than that, but the answer being yes, absolutely. Weed can be addictive. Not to do the whole, but anything can be addictive. Because that's kind of pat and it's cliche. It is true, but there is no doubt in that weed can be the basis of an addiction. There are some huge caveats to that statement, though. But I don't ever want to just want to totally evangelize or be the guy who's just spinning weed as a 100% purely positive, has no downsides, or can never be abused person, because that's not true. It is definitely a drug, and like anything that changes your state of mind and is a drug, there are upsides and downsides to using it. So, but all that being said, huge caveat still, there is no evidence that weed, and nor any mechanisms that anybody has ever discovered where weed would be the basis of what would be a physical addiction. aka something like alcohol or cocaine or methamphetamines. Actually, yeah, I think meth is too. Stuff that basically rewires your brain to crave the actual substance in such a way as with alcohol, you will actually die if you are addicted to the substance and then go cold turkey without it. But even things like heroin withdrawals, there's nothing like that with weed. Now there is like cannabis discontinuation syndrome where some people do report, stronger than average feelings, but that is mostly probably tied to the actual reason that weed is addiction, and the source of its danger is that it is absolutely, for sure, can be psychologically addictive, like anything that people use to change their state of mind or increase their state of well-being or comfort, like food or exercise or sex, any of those things. Weed is right there, up there with them. Can absolutely be psychologically addictive. It can be a thing that, people's behaviors get driven to consume weed as their primary motivators as opposed to the thing that they do as a thing to unwind. All that's possible. Certainly less likely to get you addicted than other things that are psychologically addictive. Like it's much easier to become morbidly obese from a food addiction than it is to become a terminal chronic pothead, no pun intended. But it does have that basis. It is, however, easier to quit than a lot of those other things, even psychologically addictive. And thankfully, it doesn't have as many downsides that some of the other big psychological addictions in people's lives do. Again, see food, sex, weed is, outside of the fact that it is psychologically addictive and is something that you might use as a crutch and, whatever. I promised to answer this quickly and I went way too long. Outside of all of those other things, weed is as harmless as a substance as, as harmless as a mind-altering substance as we really know about. So, yes, you can become psychologically addicted to weed. Yes, it is a possibility. Be careful if you think you might have the proclivity. All of that being said, I wouldn't worry too much about it. But I felt like I covered all my bases there. Too much so. I need to finish this bag for our good friend King Yeti / Gem Jewelry, and was nursing it for too long, so let's get through it. Rhode Island Hiker. Well, welcome, Rhode Island Hiker. Rhode Island Hiker, way back into our earlier comment about the good old Hurricane Katrina and the legendary Kanye West, George W. Bush doesn't care about black people. Rhode Island Hiker says he will never forget Michael Myers face that moment. And he was fortunate enough to see it live. I was not. If I'm not mistaken, I didn't even see it on YouTube because YouTube might not have existed then. Did YouTube launch in 2006? That sounds right. So this would literally predate YouTube. I probably saw it on ebombsworld.com. I wish I had seen it live, though. Good old Shrek, just stunned into silence. If only Kanye were there to have said it before Shrek 4, or Shrek 3, or Shrek 2, or Puss in Boots, or the Love Guru, maybe none of those things would have happened. Austin Powers 3. Ooh, Mike Myers. Rough late career. Okay. Ms. M says, do you get pretty deep into cannabis science? If so, what is your favorite terpene? Ms. M. Welcome, Ms. M. Welcome back, I think. I hope I'm correct. I think you were hanging out with us before. I got that back. Just a wonderful question, and we will get to it after we get our next bag inflated here, which, do we have a key? We'll just do everybody. Izzy, BVD, Ryan, Lost, Rhode Island Hiker, and Ms. M. Was Umbrella this one. And then we will answer your great question about cannabis science. BVD, though, does have an answer. It says, I currently like hemp-derived or cannabis frozen extract terps. Live resin style. Great answer. Okay, to Ms. M's question, the answer is kind of to the first part and definitely not to the second. Kind of in that I know about the science more in the biology, I guess, mechanisms, what's happening neurologically as far, with weed. And chemically or more the chemistry side of weed to what, molecules are comprised in weed and what those various molecules are responsible for, so on and so forth. As for the actual like extraction-y kind of parts of weed science, not so much. I try to keep up enough to know about the various technologies that are used to produce cannabis products now, whether it's some fancy new concentrate or a new way of infusing THC into some kind of edible, whatever the case may be. I try to keep up with it somewhat, just for purposes of the channel. But there are people in this commenting right now that are far more knowledgeable than I. I would say most people are. I am not a particular person when it comes to specifics, or I'm just like, there's no one particular process I like more than the other. There's not one. I'm not even a strain guy. I'm honestly not even an indica or sativa guy. I won't go too much into my theory of, well, I mean, I won't even get into, I don't really believe too much in any actual chemical, true, what would you, genetic differences between indica and sativa strains. I think they're just so been misappropriated for so long. They're totally squishy words, and but I won't get into that. But I just don't have a very refined sense of, like, I never pick up on super subtle nuances that other people seem to do with ease when it comes to things like, a certain mood effects, or feelings of, emergent sensations of X, Y, or Z. I'm doing a terrible job of describing it, but for me, weed is largely kind of I mean, it's all kind of flattened. Like THC is THC is THC for me. I noticed very little differences between any kind of outside of the difference between doing edibles and any kind of combustible or inhalant. Those are different to me in some material ways, not hugely, but I do notice some differences, which would make sense because the mechanism is in which it enters your bloodstream is different, and yada yada, and so on and so forth. But I don't have. Yeah, I just I internally, I guess I just don't have a whole lot going on, and I'm just not a very subtle person, and picking up on the things that people like particular strains for, or live resin for, over distillates, that stuff to me, again, it's just kind of flattened out. Wonderful question, and I hope that answers it somewhat. And but I'd be happy to elaborate. Well, cool. That was a long answer to that question. Let's get this bag out and done for all of our people out there in chat. I think this bag was for like 4 or 5 people, so this is for you. Thanks for hanging out. Done. Okay. Well, we have a dab next up on deck. Give myself a second to recuperate. Great question, BBD. I believe it is wedding cake today. We're doing some wedding cake, and still gelato will be up for the dab. And my poor mini nail rig desperately needs a cleaning, but thank God the camera isn't any closer. Let's see. What fun things did I have to talk about? I was like, I always come prepared and then get too high. Rhode Island Hiker says, just got back into riding and smoking on my local bike path. Well, that sounds like a hell of a lot of fun, Rhode Island Hiker. Being very close to a bike path myself and close to weed, I do a lot of not bike riding, and well, sometimes bike riding, but a lot of one-wheeling and walking and dog walking while high, and it's great. It's still great. Are you biking when you're out on the local bike path, Rhode Island Hiker? And if so, what kind of bike are you using? Are you still with us in the manual world, or are you one of the new fancy e-bike kids? Hot stock tip that it isn't a stock tip because, one, you should never take stock tips from anybody. Really, you should never take financial advice from any single person. That's financial advice, which makes that a conundrum. And also, more to the point, I'm not even sure if this is a company listed on any stock exchanges. But hot stock tip for you. If I were a betting man with some money to spare and fancied myself somebody who could identify trends, I would be putting some money in the e-bike company called Super 73, if for no other reason than I haven't really seen it talked about in the same conversation as the huge e-bike companies like Cowboy or Rad Power Bikes, which are some of the bigger ones in the US. But every rich teenager that lives in close proximity to me, which is a lot of them, has one of these Super 73 bikes. I just, not since the iPhone have I seen something so ubiquitous with young people as this bicycle, this e-bike that looks like a dirt bike. Uh, Again, don't invest in that company. I don't even think you could, but maybe. But all the kids in Southern California are riding Super 73 e-bikes. Curious though, Rhode Island hiker, what you are pedaling around on. BBD says, I see you're a big fan of that brisk flavor. Yes, you are correct, BBD. I forget who is in chat who is our fellow huge brisk strawberry melon gang fan. I'm a melon head. It is not even close with the other brisks. The pink just obliterates the competition here. Very Starburst-like in that realm. As a matter of fact, much like Starburst, the curve would be very, you would call it a Zipfian curve, is the way you would describe the distribution. Is one way you call it. There are many other names for a zip curve, but you could call it a zip curve. But much like Starburst and Brisk would have the best flavor is so much better than it's like twice as good as number 2, which is the red. And then that's twice as good as number 3, which is like, what is the number? Oh, green. There's not a green Starburst, but pretend green is orange. And then you got it. Pink Brisk, then red Brisk, then green Brisk. Pink Starburst, then red Starburst, then green/orange Starburst. And in that very beautiful curve of like each one is basically twice as good as the one that came before it. I don't actually think that the pink is twice as good as the red. I only made that point to make this weird point about distribution curves, which who gives a shit about. The pink is actually 100 million times better than the red. The red's fine, but the pink is damn good. It's a good beverage. And it contains 0% juice. And I always think that Corey Adams, should get more credit for his wonderful artwork on the Brisk bottle. There's like a lion guy, a parrot dude with a old flip phone strapped to his head, this motherfucking walrus with some sunglasses. I mean, that's just cool shit. Congratulations to you, Brisk guys. Was it on stream or was it with my wife? I was talking about Brisk advertisements. Do you guys remember? I don't know why I'm asking. The great Brisk advertisements from like the late 90s, which was claymation boxing, looked like Celebrity Deathmatch. Another 90s throwback. Apropos of nothing. If not, maybe watch it on YouTube, maybe not. It's not that interesting. Brisk ads. Brisk. Here's a weird kind of fact. I lived in the South practically my entire life, up until the time I moved to Southern California. I lived in the land of sweet tea. I lived in the land of tea, especially the sweet varieties. I actually really own the sweet varieties, the cold iced varieties, not the warm caffeinated varieties. Like, the other one's caffeinated as well, but you take the point. I didn't really drink tea at all back then. It wasn't until I moved to Southern California and got into the Arnold Palmers that I was like, oh, tea is actually pretty good when mixed with something else. So, good for you, Arnold Palmer. Who there are a lot of times in my life I I mean, I at least 4 or 5 times in my life, I erroneously asserted Arnold Palmer was dead to people before he died. I think he died recently, very recently, maybe right after I started drinking the drink. Yes, I think that's correct. Anyways, for years, whenever the topic of Arnold Palmer would come up, I think I told people I insisted he was dead, because I conflated him in my mind with golfer, the golfer who died in an airplane that decompressurized in the 90s. Let's do some Googling. Golfer died. Payne Stewart. Arnold Palmer, Payne Stewart, maybe, kind of, you could see how that happened. It was like the 90s, very early aughts. This dude seemed like a super tragic thing as far as I remember. Like, there was like a decompressor, man, I need to play some more hard space. His plane decompressurized and everybody passed out in midair, and it was like, oh shit, they're all doomed because there's no way to wake these people up, and but it was like, oh shit, they're dead men flying for a while. That's very morbid, and not for right now, but sorry, Arnold Palmer, I think you are now dead, but I told people for years that you were dead and you died in a plane crash. But it wasn't you, it was Payne Stewart. All evens out in the wash is they're all dead now. Okay. Let's go do this dab for for our new folks here in chat. Juanita Davis. Juanita Davis, perfect timing, says, do a dab for me. Hey, from Vegas. Well, Juanita Davis, perfect timing. Oh, couldn't have said it better. Let's go do it. Did remember to turn it on ahead of time this time. Real professional. Neat. Okay, let's do it. Get this inflated. Thanks for hanging out with us. Juanita Davis from Vegas. Slant rhymes. Rhode Island Hiker says he's got some fat tire mountain bike and saving for a one wheel. I heard great things about it. I certainly love mine, Rhode Island Hiker. I've had it for just over a year, I think. Many, many hundreds of miles on it. And I'm thinking about upgrading to a new tire so I can do some off-road riding, which is something I've really wanted to do with it. But knock on wood, I've had no incidents whatsoever with my one wheel. People who have had them and had them forever always talk about like, oh, it's gonna happen, you know, you're gonna push it too hard and you're gonna eat it. And nope, thankful I'm not a pusher. I've never hit top speed, or I think I'm like a whole 2/3 of a mile an hour under the max speed limit, which it can go higher than, but you risk doing dangerous stuff. But it is just so much fun to ride. And I don't know, I've never actually ridden a snowboard, so I can't make the comparison, but I know people who have, who say it is the most snowboard-like riding thing. Makes me want to ride a snowboard. I have ridden lots and lots and lots of different e-mobility devices, bikes, scooters, segways, mini segways, solo wheels, one wheels. And the one wheel is, without a doubt, the most fun to just ride. Like, it's just fun. It's just absolutely fun to do. And really not that much of a learning curve. Okay. And last thing, sorry, Rhode Island Hiker, about your comment. I didn't dedicate this bag to, by the way, Carpe Byatt. Saw him next up in chat. Welcome back, Carpe Byatt. Thanks for joining us again. Yes, big old tire mountain bikes. I saw something interesting recently that has made me so curious, and this is never going to happen, but they now make rickshaw e-bikes, and how fun would that be? Anyways, sorry guys, I am realizing I am way far back on chat and getting caught up. BVD says, holy cow, that Super 73 is the bike Casey Neistat, I can't remember how you say his name, rode in New York City. Cool. Oh, well, maybe it is way more popular than I thought already. It just doesn't have the, I guess, investment dollars behind it that the other ones do. But this Casey Neistat guy must still be very popular with the teenagers because, again, it is ubiquitous out here. If you have rich parents, they are going to purchase you a Super 73 e-bike. And it's just mind-boggling to me the pace at which I've seen them overtake other e-bikes in this area. And even from the beginning of the summer, which was, let's say, I guess kids started getting out around early June-ish here, it is just a snowball over just 2 months of just like you see it happen. Kids seeing other kids with that one, and then that is the one they get. It is such a just, I mean, that's how growth happens in these kind of things, but a snowball going down a hill. I guess they look cool. They look like dirt bikes. Anyways, moving on to, welcome back, Carpe Byatt. This bag is for you, my friend. I'm sorry, I don't want to get your name. Is it Marley? Marley? I'm sorry if I butchered it. My bad. Miss Ramirez? I think. Tiny little picture. I'm so sorry. I'm not at all trying to be an asshole. I really appreciate you hanging out with us, and I would love to get your name correct if you would help me out. But they said, I remember those Brisk commercials. Yes, back to the Brisk. And I think, yes, Rhode Island Hiker even says he remembers them as well, and that one of them stars good old Rocky, back when Sylvester Stallone could still, formulate most of a sentence. Dothy, I'm so sorry. I think we had it right last time, and I have forgotten it. My total bad again. Really butchering these names. My bad. Help me get it right again, and I hope to correct myself. But comment was he in Happy Gilmore? I don't even I can't remember what the question was relating to. But I can tell you, no, I don't remember who if he was in Happy Gilmore because I don't remember who it was. My bad. Um. Uh. We've got some reminiscing about great celebrity death match. Matchups, roundups, fights, celebrity death match, man. That was of course everybody's MTV when they were 13 was, the best MTV. But that was, celebrity death match I think was kind of concurrent with Jackass. Like those periods overlapped, and what a just wonderful time to be alive. I just loved Jackass with my whole heart. Always have. I will defend its value as entertainment until my dying day. And Jackass 4 is pretty great. But yeah, Jackass. Oh, my dog got agitated by something. Anyways, oh my god. I had no idea. Dathy, our friend, just informed me about Payne Stewart's flight. That on the same flight. Is this true? I my Google foo is failing me at the moment, but our friend reminds us that Buddy Holly was also on the same flight that Payne Stewart was on, that decompressurized. And I hope I'm not misremembering those details. And everybody died. Wow, what a really tragic, unfortunate flight, man. Much more. Wow, Buddy Holly. I I didn't even. I actually didn't even know Buddy Holly died in a plane crash. To be honest, if you had said how did Buddy Holly die, I would have said venereal disease, lung cancer, cirrhosis. But he died the same plane crash as Payne Stewart, not Arnold Palmer. Anyways, I've got to stop saying anyways as a transition. Ironically used. Anyways, Grimy Faux Big Bugs LBC says, yo, back at you. Thanks for hanging out with us. Grimy also says, gotta smoke a wood main, a 4-gram wood. It seems like a golf term, but also, are you saying I should smoke a 4-gram blunt? That's a huge joint. Also just terrible at rolling things, but maybe in the future, we could aspire to something like that. I gotta finish this bag that it's been nursing for so long. We get through it here. Oh, Marilee. Well, thank you, Marilee Ramirez. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. It's a cool spelling too. And there are Marilees and then there are Mary Lees, which are not the same name. And I've known a Marilee and I have also known a Mary Lee, as in first and middle name, but went by that. I think it was first and middle, not two first names. Um, uh, did somebody else would I Dathy or Dothy? Did you also think that that was maybe Arnold Palmer in that plane and not Payne Stewart? I didn't. Who knows about golfers? I mean, until I was embarrassingly old, I would get Jack Nicholas, and Jack Nickel. Oh my God, I'm probably gonna do it right now. Conflated too. If people have, people shouldn't. There's no reason people should have names that similar, especially if they're in related fields. Even the Nicholsons, at least they're. But there's also a Phil Mickelson. He's a golfer too. Yeah, Jack Nicholas and Phil Mickelson, it should be banned. You shouldn't allowed to be. You should not be allowed to have names that similar, and be in the same line of work. It's very rude, inconsiderate to very small-brained people like myself. It's too much for my brain to handle. I mean, Arnold Palmer, Payne Stewart. There's a P in at least. There's at least a P in both of their names. Inexcusable, I say. Shame on you, Arnold Palmer. No, shame on you, Payne Stewart's mother. Because I don't know who's older, but we'll just say Payne Stewart. I guess it's a cooler name though than Arnold Palmer. Payne. Motherfucker's name was Payne. Neat. Okay. Better than anyways. Shooter McGavin and Happy Gilmore now playing live golf and getting lucrative with that Saudi money. Shooter McGavin, what a character actor. What's his name? He has never not been around. Christopher McDonald. He's the white Samuel L. Jackson. I mean, he never gets actually good roles, I guess, other than Shooter McGavin. But I'm just talking about in terms of the length of IMDb credits. Just going to be pretty extensive. And wow, looking at him right now, he aged well. Good for you, Shooter McGavin. Anyways, damn it, I made it 2 minutes. Okay. Ms. M says, would vaporizing or water bong hits be a more superior way of consuming cannabis? Well, Ms. M, I think it's going to come down to personal preference and also considerations for your lungs, I guess. Both are going to be better than a pipe for sure. But if you have especially sensitive lungs, probably vaping is going to be the best, especially at lower temperatures. I myself, as you can tell, love vaporizers. They're my favorite. The Volcano is my favorite non-edible way of doing weed. Go over it many times. Love, love, love it. Absolutely love it. But I know more than one person who is very, very. These people are incredibly into weed. Who, while they appreciate vaping and would be happy to vape, if it's the only thing that's around, they feel that it's missing something. that the only way they get the best experience is by putting open flame to dried um, cannabis bud and inhaling through a pipe or a water bong. Uh, and if you're one of those people, that is a thing to take into consideration. But mostly, whatever you have handy. If you've got a water pipe already, I don't think you need to invest in a fancy herb vaporizer unless you have some other considerations. Moving on, thank you, Dahi. Thank you, Dahi. I was doing it very wrong. My apologies for forgetting, and I really appreciate the reminder. Dahi says he was only joking about Buddy Holly. Well, you got me. Damn. So I can be safe. I'm just going to assume he died of some venereal disease, and I can rest easy that, thank God, I think, man, thankfully it wasn't like, I wasn't like, oh yeah, I knew that. Of course, yeah, everybody knew that's how Buddy Holly died. I have no idea how Buddy Holly died, but you certainly got me. It sounded absolutely plausible. And Buddy Holly, I hope you died of syphilis. I mean, not in a bad way, like your brain rotted away, but like, was Buddy? I hope Buddy. Well, I almost said I hope Buddy Holly wasn't gay, and I don't mean that in like. I don't want one of our rock icons. In that, I hope I didn't. He isn't, and I just was oblivious to that fact. Is what I meant by that thing that I didn't actually say. But yeah, I just assume Buddy Holly. Good for you. You lived a wonderful and full life that didn't involve dying in a plane crash, tragically. And no wonder I didn't know about that insane bit of synchronicity. Okay, we are moving forward a little bit. Sea Dog P says, good day, Mr. Wheat. Santa Cruz here with some SFVOG. I'm like some SFVOG myself. I've had it a few times as a in flower version. Usually like the taste of it quite a bit. And welcome back, Sea Dog P. Thanks for hanging out with us again from Santa Cruz. Santa Cruz. I have never been myself, Sea Dog P, but I've heard people speak so reverently and fondly for UC Santa Cruz as being kind of a truly both magical and also like batshit in the best like kind of words university. Like the wildest shit happens, the most cutting edge student movements, the biggest protests, all that stuff. In addition to, of course, being UC system and an incredible school. I would love to go. Is UC? Have you been to the campus? Is it as cool as I have in my mind? Should I move to Santa Cruz? Is it cool being around all those trees? I imagine. Thanks for hanging out with us. Welcome, Mark. Good to see you. How are things? Hopefully you guys survived the heat wave okay. Breaking records every day. I'm not sure if it's as bad now. Surely it's can't be as bad as it was, obviously, but hopefully it is more like the baseline normal than the apocalyptic things you guys were going through there very recently. Pablo, welcome. Pablo says, vaping on some crystal clear vape pink cookies. Good bang for your buck. Well, that wasn't the one I just did. I've got some good news for you. We're going to have a crystal clear review out in the very near future. I think. Pretty sure. if we don't already have it out. And I might have to agree with you. Thanks for the comment, Pablo. Sea Dog P says Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, and the Big Bopper. Oh my God, Sea Dog P. Of course. Of course. Here's a shameful factoid about me. Walk Hard is probably in my top 10 favorite movies of all time. But more importantly, John C. Reilly's performance in Walk Hard is the greatest acting performance in history. I was about to say movie history, but why give a caveat there? Just John C. Reilly as Dewey Cox is the greatest performance ever performed. Walk Hard, of course, is a spoof of musical biopics. And Buddy Holly is in the movie played by Frankie Muniz. And now there is a joke in this movie that I love so much, makes way more sense. And I don't even really know so much about classical music. I actually don't really care. And I largely detest biopics, and especially the music biopic. And maybe that's why Walk Hard is one of the greatest movies of all time. But I now appreciate it even more thanks to your contribution, and I'm a little embarrassed that I somehow didn't know that. My celebrities dying in plane crashes begins and ends with John Denver. Take Me Home, Country Roads, You Outta Here, John Denver, the 70s celebrities in planes, not a good scene. We are Marshall. Okay. Baghdad, let's go do a dab. And this bag is going to be for, or not bag, dab. Shh. Dog. Mellow. Okay. Dab is going to be for everybody we've missed. Dahi, Pablo, Sea Dog, Katie, Eric, Dr. SJ. Oh my God. Dr. SJ, every time you're such a bright ray of sunshine, and it's not just because your avatar is a big yellow smiley face. Your comments are they're just they make me smile every time. I have to take it back. We'll have to do two dabs. One for everybody and one for Dr. SJ, because Dr. SJ, Dr. Smegma Jones, he brings it every time with I'm about to be a dad. My wife is in labor as we speak. She wasn't too thrilled when I told her I was busy, but it's not her fault when she decided to give birth during a Wheats live stream. Time for a dab. How can I say no to that? And to the birth of your non-existent child, let's all give Dr. SJ's child, let's all christen. Does christen mean name? Or is that, maybe, I can't remember. Let's all come up with a name for Dr. SJ's fictional child while I go do a dab for him, and then I promise I will still do the dab for everybody else. All right. Smegma Jones, thank you so much for hanging out with us, man. As always, this is for your beautiful, I'm just going to assume, beautiful, blushing, 6 pounds, 8 ounce daughter, Mary Jade. All right. Just a few minutes to reset, and then we'll go do our set fourth and final dab for the stream. But let's catch up here on chat before we get to that. Everybody, it looks like, thankfully, it looks like everybody is appreciating Dr. SJ's sacrifice to the stream. And let's be clear here. I want to be very, I want to be uncharacteristically serious for a moment. It's not just Dr. SJ, it's not just Dr. SJ's wife who is to blame, who is absolutely at fault for the situation, but it is also the fault of his soon to be born child. We know fetuses can hear things in utero, like they can, those sound waves penetrate, and there is no excuse for deciding to pop out at this moment. Like, could have waited. Inexcusable. And really, Mary Jane, you're starting off on kind of a shitty foot here. But we wish you all the best. Because again, you do not exist. But if you did, shame on you. Shit. Thought I was going to get away without coughing. Untrue. Katie, welcome back. Katie, good to see you again. Katie says, so glad to catch some of your stream. Greetings from Pittsburgh. Welcome back from Pittsburgh. Those three rivers, the Allegheny, the Ohio one, and the other one. Pittsburgh. Cool city. Which we talked about on our last stream. Thanks for hanging out with us again, Katie. Glad you are back. I owe you and all of those other fine folks a dab. I promise it. Pablo asked, what would you do for a Klondike bar? A pretty extensive list of things, but what I would do less for a Klondike bar than I would do for the very recently, but oh so tragically departed, I think from the same company, Choco Taco. I do remember the Choco Taco dying once before, like when I was in high school. I think they killed it, and then it just sort of reappeared and has been back for a long time. But apparently the Choco Taco is being, what is a pun that you can make that isn't insensitive? Plenty. The good humor bar in the sky, whatever, who knows? It's not even good humor. So I would do a lot for a Klondike bar, but I would do significantly more bad stuff for a Choco Taco. And now that I know that they are, there is some scarcity, some real scarcity, these are going to be, hunted down to the ends of the earth. Circa Twinkies whenever Twinkies went away. I, of course, have to do even more now to make up for that fact. Let's all take a moment. In addition to all of Eric, Mark, Sea-Dog, Pablo, Katie, we're going to give the last dab to the Choco Taco as well. I think, to me, the finest of all prepackaged dairy single consumption ice cream products. It was a little redundant, but it did sound kind of like packaging jargon. Like, you can imagine that actually being a thing that is tariffed as a type, up there with bomb pops and Sonic pops. All right. Uh, coughing more and more. Sea Dog says, graduate of the UCSC Banana Slugs here. Ah, of course, the one of the most fabulous things about the most fabulous of all UC universities, which again, the UC system, well, I don't know if I said this or not. I'm not a graduate of the UC system. I'm jealous of those who are. I am a graduate of the much inferior, but fine for where it's at, the Tennessee University system. But yes, the Santa Cruz, the UC Santa Cruz, they are the Banana Slugs. How delightful! How utterly delightful. A fact I had, heard many times and forgotten just as many. And every time I hear it, it tickles me again because it's just so weird. It replaced the Gopher as my favorite university mascot. Now, the inferior Cal State school in Long Beach, Cal State Long Beach, they're one of their many mascots, and they do have several. At least the mascot of the baseball team for Cal State Long Beach is very befuddlingly the Dirtbags, which is also kind of endearing. But it's no Banana Slug. Come on, man. Sea Dog, very cool. Thanks for sharing that fact. But he does warn us, though, immediately after that it is an awesome campus, but do not move there. It is too expensive. Just like every spot that has in the state that has a UC campus is the rent there or housing prices writ large are inflated in otherwise already inflated housing markets. I guess the only one, I don't know about Davis, but I think Davis is actually supposed to be nice for where it's at, in, next to Sacramento, but all of the others, other than maybe Riverside, Santa Barbara, UCLA, Irvine, San Diego, yeah, they're all crazy expensive. But I guess Santa Cruz and Santa Barbara are also probably anomalously expensive, even for the already crazy expensive areas around UC schools. All right, I got to get to this final dab. Let's get to the let's get through some chat here. Mark gives us an update about the weather in the UK. Says it's still humid there, but they're doing better, doing good. Glad to hear it. Curious to know if you guys had AC or not. Of course, we all learned. Many Americans learned for the first time that most of Europe is not as proliferated through with AC as the US is. But it is a growing trend there, and curious whether you guys are on the right side of that. I, of course, went the other way, always had AC, moved to Southern California, and haven't had it since moving here. And thankfully it is survivable, really only because I live in Long Beach. Eric says this is Spinal Tap, maybe as a comparison to Walk Hard. Don't get me wrong, love me some Spinal Tap. Great mockumentary. I mean, progenitor, creator of mockumentary as a genre, so wonderful. Love it. No hate. But Walk Hard is a perfect movie. And I don't mean this I'm not just tossing this out there. It truly is a movie that gets better every time you watch it, and I have seen it countless times, but I find new things to appreciate, and I am not being facetious or uh, controversial or trying to be I'm genuinely sincere when I say John C. Reilly's performance in Walk Hard is my favorite bit of acting ever. He's incredible. That was just a great excuse, your comment, to talk about Walk Hard again. But this is Spinal Tap, great too. Dave says Cadillac Records is a good biopic, definitely worth a watch. It is a great biopic for a music biopic. More unorthodox than most. It's less formulaic than fucking the Elvis movie that just came out, or any of the others. It's insane that people continue to try to put out very by the numbers music biopics after Walk Hard, a movie that just, obliterated them as a genre. Just they should feel ashamed to exist. Because I see every movie. I did see the Elvis movie, not great at all. The only Baz Luhrmann movie I've ever seen in theaters, but apropos of nothing. My wife and I just would quote Walk Hard lines as they were appropriate in the movie. Like, you just watch Elvis and you can hear the characters say, "Wrong kid died," over and over. Okay, gotta go. Speed comment. Here we go. Mark asks, what's the cold beverage of choice? Brisk strawberry melon. We went over it hardcore earlier. If you rewind back, I'm sure you can go find too much detail about it. Jose, welcome back, Jose. Good to see you again. Katie B says, I can't believe you remember me. What a fun community you guys have. Well, thanks, man. We try to remember everybody here. I often fail in that goal, but it's everybody's memorable. Sea Dog says, would you currently do a Korova 1000 milligram black bar? It depends by your definition of the word currently. As in immediately? No. As in this week? Yes. I think it would be a fun thing to do, maybe for a YouTube video. It would be a lot. It's been a long time since I've done anything remotely that potent, but it could be fun. So if currently means in the near future, the answer is likely. Excuse me. Okay. Mark says, it is good. Katie and Wheats is a great guy. We hope you can get out to Cali soon, man. He's been working on making out here with his wife for a long time. But we understand that there's some global events recently that have tripped up a lot of people's plans. But, fingers crossed for a, I was going to say, less tumultuous air travel in our near future. But that doesn't look likely. Especially Heathrow with their, seems to me, necessary caps. That's kind of crazy. Mark says they had fires in London suburbs, of all places. I had no idea. These are like, are California-style wildfires, or more arson, or some kind of infrastructure damage that caused these fires? I hadn't heard. That's crazy. Suburban fires in the UK. That does seem like that should be bigger news. Well, he answers that right beneath it and says, all because of the weather. Larry David. Oh my God, Larry. Oh, Larry. You're going to get pulled into our last dab that we're doing here. Sorry that you hear just at the end. But Larry, I've been hoping that you would show up recently, because I've had big news to share with you. And you've been, You've been stuck in your big Hollywood mansion slash home in Scotland, if I remember correctly, personally. But Larry, and I'm gonna say there's like a 20% um, uh, subconscious influence you've had on me in chat. Also, all the Veep I've rewatched in Seinfeld, I rewatched. But I've done it. I'm 2.5 seasons in. Larry, I'm finally watching you and Curb Your Enthusiasm, and you surly son of a bitch, your reputation truly precedes you, Larry. You really are a cad. Okay, let's do this fourth and final, fifth, third, whatever number dab this is. Uh, it has been wonderful, wonderful, wonderful hanging out with everybody. Tony, hello. Sorry to dab and dash my total bad timing. But you are now under the umbrella of the dab. Larry leaves us with a pretty good. Uh, Larry, I'm one last confession for you. I've been using your reaction GIF for years, like the not sure if want dot gif of where like Larry David just kind of like looks and turns his head where he has that psychological drama going on, whether he doesn't know that the thing that's happening to him is good or bad. I think it's one of the most versatile gifts ever graced to the medium, and I used it for years and years and never watched Curb. I'm happy to be finally changing that. Anyways, this dab is for everybody. Thanks so much for everybody out there in chat. It has been a lot of fun hanging out. Tomorrow is Thursday, which means I will definitely be back here again after that video premieres, 1:15 p.m. PST, 4:15 EST. Here we go. It was a bigger one from the last one, but that wasn't. There's more to do. Okay. And then that really is going to do it. B, I'm so sorry. Saw you just come in. Sorry we missed you. I hope we can catch you tomorrow. I'll be back. Whatever time I just said it was. I hope to see some of you guys then. Thanks anybody for hanging out with us, choosing to spend your time getting high, hanging out.